Well, hello, sports fans. It's me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke, and I am here with Game 6 of the 1979 Alternate World Series between the Cincinnati Reds and the Baltimore Orioles. If you've missed any of the previous games of this World Series, because this is Game 6, if you missed any of the previous games, I highly recommend you go back and check those out, because I've explain why it's the Reds versus the Orioles instead of the Pirates versus the Orioles. And I explain why, we're using the DH in this series, even though in the 1979 World Series it was actually pitcher bat. And so there's a lot of context that you're missing out on if you're just joining Game 6 here and haven't seen any of the other previous games. So, as I said, 5 games have already been played. The Reds are up 3-2, and the visiting Reds will have Mike LaCoss on the mound, and there is his card. That's what his elementary side of his card looks like, and we are using the elementary side. And Steve Stone will be going up for the Baltimore Orioles. And if you recall, Steve Stone had a no-hitter in the series winning game for the Orioles versus the California Angels in the ALCS. So they're hoping that he can recapture some of that magic. And here we are, ready to go. Dave Collins up for the Reds, and he gets a 2-8, which is a single. So Dave Collins is aboard. Dempsey has a good arm, so they are not going to tempt him right now with Joe Morgan up, and that's a 6-9, which is a strikeout. So Stone strikes out Joe Morgan. And that brings up Ken Griffey, and he gets a 5-8, which is a strikeout. And so Stone has struck out 2 men after allowing Dave Collins to get aboard. And George Foster's up, and he gets a 1-7, which is a home run. Way back and gone. George Foster knocks in himself and Dave Collins. Home run, 2 RBIs, 1 run, and a run for Collins. Stone gives up his second hit of the game and 2 earned runs. And then Johnny Bench is up, and he gets a 5-7, which is a ground ball to the second baseman. The second baseman is Dower, and he is a second base 2. That's a 19. 19-2 is an out. So Johnny Bench grounds out 4-3, but the Reds take a 2-0 lead in the first inning. And that brings up Al Bumbry to lead off in the bottom of the first for the Birds. He gets a 2-10, which is a pop out to second. Pop out to 4, 1 away. Ken Singleton gets a 3-6, which is a home run 1-7 or a double. That's going to be a home run. So Ken Singleton hits a home run of his own. And gets a run and an RBI. LaCoss giving up a hit and an earned run. Eddie Murray up. He gets a 6, and if it stops spinning, 6-11. That's a ground ball first base C. Ground out to 3, 2 away. And John Lowenstein's up, and he gets a 1-9, which is a strikeout. So the Birds strike for a run, and now the score is 2-1. And the Reds bring up Dan Dreesen. And he gets a 6-6, which is a single 1-6. And that's going to be a line out to third base. 1 away. Ray Knight up. He gets a 212, which is a line out to shortstop. Line out to 6. And that brings up Dave Concepcion, and he gets a 2-9, which is a strikeout. And so Stone gets a K, and the Reds get no runs in the second, and now we go to the bottom of the second with Lee May up, the DH for the Birds, and he gets a 2-3, which is a ground ball shortstop. He bounces out 6-3. Doug DeCinces up. He gets a 4-5, which is a walk. So DeCinces is aboard with a walk. That's the first walk issued by LaCoss. And Rich Dower is up, and he gets a 4-7, which is a single. So LaCoss gives up his second hit. Third base runner overall, Kiko Garcia up, and he gets a 2-8, which is a strikeout. And that is 2 outs in the inning. But the Birds still have 2 on with Rick Dempsey up, and he gets a 5-8. And that is a fly ball center field. So the Orioles threaten in the second, but they don't get any runs. And that brings up Cesar Geronimo, and he gets a 5-10. That's a ground ball to the third baseman. That is DeCinces, and he's a 2, and that's a 16, probably going to be an out. And it is. No, it's a one-base error. Is it? It is. It's a one-base error. So that kind of caught me off guard. All right, Cesar Geronimo is on by an E5. And we're going to have to assess that error to DeCinces. No outs, and Dave Collins up, and he gets a 4-4, which is a pop out to first base. Pop out to 4, 1 away. Joe Morgan up, he gets a 2-9, which is a strikeout. 4th strikeout for Stone. Ken Griffey up. He gets a 1-4, and that's a single double asterisk. So that moves Geronimo over to third. And that brings up George Foster, and he gets a 4-12. And that's a fly ball to right. So he lofts the ball out into right field, and he is a 3. So that's not good. And that is really not good. That's an 11. And that's going to be a double 2. So runners are now at second and third. And 1 run came in, and that was Geronimo with the run. That's a hit, but it won't be an earned run because Geronimo should have been an out. And then Johnny Bench is up. And that's a 6-8. And that is a walk. So that loads the bases. So Stone is still not out of trouble here. Dan Dreesen's up, and he gets a 5-4, which is a fly ball to center. The center fielder is Bumbry, and he's a 2. And that's a 9. That's going to be bad as well. That's a double 2. So Dan Dreesen doubles in Griffey and Foster. RBIs and a run, 2 runs. So that's what, 3 this inning. And then Ray Knight steps in, and he gets a 1-6, which is a triple 1-4, or a fly ball, and it's a triple. I don't know how much worse it could get. So he triples in 2 runs, and that's in the person of Bench and Dreesen. And there's going to be activity in the O's bullpen, and they are going to get they're going to get McGregor up. I mean, he pitched fairly recently, but it's all hands on deck here because they could be eliminated if they lose. Concepcion up, and he gets a 6-8, which is a walk. And Geronimo is up, and he gets a 2-7, which is a double 1-4, single double asterisk. Single double asterisk. So Geronimo singles in 2 runs. And that is Knight and Concepcion. Or no, he singles in 1 run. Sorry, Concepcion doesn't score. He goes to third. So Concepcion with the RBI. Knight with the run. Another hit by Stone, and that is going to be it. They're going to bring in McGregor. And Stone only lasts, how many outs is there? 2. So he lasts 2 2/3. And Dave Collins is up with runners at the corners. And he gets a 1-8, which is a line out to third base. But not before Cincinnati strikes for 6 in the third and takes an 8-1 lead. Al Bumbry is up, and he gets a 5-8, which is a fly ball center field. 1 away. Ken Singleton gets a 5-5, which is a pop out to third. And Eddie Murray gets a 6-6, and that is a pop out to second base. Pop out to 4. No runs come in for the O's. And we go to the top of the 4th with Cincinnati up. 5-9 is a home run 1-3 double for Joe Morgan. That's going to be a double. Rips a double off the wall. First hit allowed by McGregor. Ken Griffey up. And he gets a 5-7, which is a ground ball to the shortstop. That's Kiko Garcia, and he's a 3. 19-3 is a select another. And that's a 17-3, and that is an out with no runners, so it's 1 away, fielder's choice. George Foster's up. He gets a 3-7, which is a strikeout. Yeah, you get the feeling that they brought McGregor in just a little too late. 6-7 is a strikeout for Bench. Bench strikes out to McGregor. Second strikeout for him, for McGregor. No runs come in for Cincinnati in the 4th. And Lowenstein will step in for the Birds. He gets a 2-10, which is a ground ball pitcher B. So 1-3, one away. Milt May gets a 3-3, which is a strikeout. LaCoss with his third strikeout of the game, and Doug DeCinces is up, and he gets a 6-8, which is a line out to first base. Line out to 4. No runs for the Birds in the fourth. They are still down 8-1, so they have a lot of work to do, and they got to do it quickly, but Dreesen steps in. He gets a 2-2, which is a ground ball third base B. So 5-3 for Dreesen. Ray Knight gets a 2-7, which is a fly ball left field. And that brings up Concepcion, the shortstop, and he gets a 6-7, which is a strikeout. So McGregor came in, he settled things down, but it might have been just a little too late. I think Weaver was a little too late pulling the trigger on that one. Rich Dower is up in the fifth, bottom of the fifth, to lead off the bottom of the fifth, and he gets a 5-8, which is a fly ball center field. One away. Kiko Garcia gets a 3-11, which is a ground ball second base, so 4-3. And that brings up Rick Dempsey, and he gets a 5-7. And that is a ground ball second base. Joe Morgan, he's a 2. That's a 17. And that's going to be an out. So Joe Morgan makes the play. 4-3. The Orioles get nothing in the fifth. We go to the top of the sixth. Cesar Geronimo gets a 3-6, which is a single. So Cesar Geronimo trying to start something out here. Now wait, since that's Cincinnati. Yeah, so Geronimo trying to start something for the Reds and extend their lead, which probably not needed, but who knows. 4-9 is a fly ball left field, one away for Dave Collins. He flies out to left. So there's one out with Geronimo aboard and Joe Morgan up, and he gets a 3-7, which is a walk. So now there's 2 people on. And that brings up Ken Griffey, and he gets a 2-8, which is a strikeout. And that's 2 away. And George Foster up, and he gets a 6-7 on McGregor's card, which is a strikeout. So that's going to be it for the Reds in the sixth. We go to the bottom of the sixth. The Orioles really need to start scoring at something soon. And Bumbry's up, and he gets a 5-9, which is a strikeout. Ken Singleton's up. He gets a 5-9, which is a strikeout. And Eddie Murray is up, and he gets a 1-10, which is a ground ball first base B. So Johnny Bench steps in the seventh. Getting late here. Looks like the Reds may win this series. 3-7 is a strikeout for Bench. And McGregor is really dealing. It's just too bad that they couldn't get him in there sooner. Dan Dreesen is up, and 1-5 is a ground ball second base. 2 away. And Ray Knight up. And he gets a 2-4, which is a ground ball shortstop. 6-3, no runs coming in the seventh. For Cincinnati, we go to the bottom of the seventh. John Lowenstein up. He gets a 3-9, which is a double 1-5. And he gets a single. So Lowenstein starting him out. LaCoss only giving up his third hit there. And Lee May is up. He gets a 4-9, which is a ground ball second base C. So that moves Lowenstein to second. On the fielder's choice, one away. Doug DeCinces gets a 5-7, which is a ground ball second base. Second baseman is a 2. That is Joe Morgan. 17, I think we've already established, is an out. DeCinces, 4-3. 2 away. And Rich Dower up, and he gets a 2-7, which is a ground ball third base. So 5-3. No runs. Top of the 8th. Now, Concepcion up, and he gets a 3-9, which is a walk. Gregor walks a man. Tippy Martinez is warming up in the bullpen. Cesar Geronimo gets a 5-6, which is a fly ball to right field. F9, one away. Dave Collins up. He gets a 5-5, which is a pop out to third. And that brings up Joe Morgan. And he gets a 5-6, which is a fly ball to right. The fans in Baltimore here are going to be a little upset that their team looks like it's going to fall just a bit short. Kiko Garcia up. He gets a 1-8. Ground ball third base. 5-3, one away. Rick Dempsey up. He gets a 4-10, which is a fly ball to center field. The center fielder for the O's is, or for the Reds is a 2. That's Cesar Geronimo. 12-2 is an out. So a fly out for Dempsey. F8. 2 away. And Bumbry up, and he gets a 3-6, which is a ground ball shortstop. And that's going to be that. We go to the top of the 9th. And Griffey is up. And he gets a 4-2, which is a strikeout. McGregor's still out there because, of course, he's dealing. So don't mess up a good thing. 3-5, Foster strikes out. They just got him into the game a little too late. And Johnny Bench gets a 5-3, which is a first base X, and that is Eddie Murray, and he's a 1. That's a 7. I think that's an error. And it is an error by Eddie Murray. So, Bench gets on by an E3. We got to give that to Murray. And then Dan Dreesen comes up and he gets a 4-6, which is a fly ball center field B. Well, this is it. The O's only got the 1 run in the first inning, so they've got to get 6 runs right here. Or 7, actually. 7 runs. Right here, or forget it. And Ken Singleton will lead it out, and he gets a 1-9, which is a ground ball second base C. 4-3. Eddie Murray up. He gets a 5-9, which is a strikeout. 5th strikeout for LaCoss, who looks like he'll go the distance. Lowenstein is up, and Lowenstein gets a 1-10, which is a fly ball to center. And that does it. The Orioles have gone down in defeat. They drew it out for 6 games, but they lose game 6, 8-1. And the Cincinnati Reds are your 1979 alternate world champions in 6 games of the World Series. And I hope you enjoyed that. And for me, it's Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke, signing off.